Hey everybody, happy Father's Day. I wanted to talk about the really essentials for good father-son relationships that are a must to have. Reason why I actually started this whole exploration, if you will, is a few weeks ago I was going through some old files back home. I was doing some work in my house, and I started pulling some old files, and I saw a very small black and white picture of my granddad, who was my father's father, passed away many years ago, and it got me thinking, what was the relationship like between his my father and my granddad? Because I'm at this stage in my life right now where I've consciously chosen to explore these relationships with my dad, these dynamics, ask him, sometimes having to have very difficult and very painful conversations to understand why certain things happened. That brings a lot of emotions for me, a lot of deeper emotions. But you know what? I've consciously decided to do it, so I'm doing it. And yes, it's very challenging, but at the same time, it's been one of the most rewarding things I've ever done. And I have a lot of male friends, right? And most of them don't really have good relationship with their dad. Some of them didn't have a father. If you're anything like me, maybe you did have a father, but he wasn't really present around, so we kind of had to learn to grow up by ourselves. So, and generally what I see is that the father-son relationship is probably the most wounded relationship. uh, I think right now what we see is a lack of fathering in the world. In fact, I'm a firm believer that majority of the social issues that we're dealing with right now are directly or indirectly related to the lack of fathering. There's devastating effects of fathers not being around in the home for both boys and girls. I'm a man, so I can speak from my own experience, but um, it's something that is fascinating, and I really wanted to kind of bring it up. Now, I'm not a father myself, but consciously since last year I really adopted this figure, if you will, of a spiritual father. Now, I had to learn a lot of things, and I'm still learning a lot of things on my own through a lot of trials and tribulations, which has been incredibly you know beneficial, incredibly fulfilling and rewarding. So I'm trying to pass this over to other men around me, because this lack of fathering is not gonna fix itself by itself, right? You're not gonna wake up tomorrow and yep, oh, everything is done. No, we have to put in the work. This is, you know, all these personal development books and all the videos and seminars, all this type we do. We have to put it in real life. So this is me doing that. So, and the reason why I did this, the reason why I decided to adopt this role, if you have a spiritual father, is I'm a fan of Jordan Peterson. He says that life has more meaning with responsibility. So the more responsibility you voluntarily choose to bear, the richer your life is going to be. So, anyways, I was thinking of reflecting on this relationship with my dad. Certain things that I wish that had happened, or maybe happened more, and I really came down to really four things. Number one is spending more time together. Now, like I said, whether it's with your dad and you really consciously chosen to have these difficult conversation, or maybe you can adopt the role of more of a role model for other men around you. And this could also be all for other women as well. It goes both ways. It's a circle. So nothing beats really spending time together with other men, with your father. Maybe you are a father already or soon to be a father. Definitely spend a lot of time together. Nothing beats a trip together, doing an adventure, living together. I mean, that's amazing. Number two is life skills. Like I said, all of this training must transition into life skills. I'll give you an example from my own life right now. I have a younger brother, and I'm trying to instill with him certain characteristics or virtues like discipline, or very small things like tidying your bed, tidying the room, how to behave around women. And that's something that I never really had. Like, I had to learn by myself. So I'm trying. It's my way of giving back. Number three is like a life philosophy, you know, about certain virtues, or certain just a whole philosophy and outlook on life. I've never really had those conversations with my dad, and something I'm trying to have right now to more better understand him, where he's coming from, what his take on this is. But I found that this is incredibly important. And I was interviewing a gentleman. His name is Kevin Heelis, and he was on my podcast. We have a episode together, and he was saying, he's a father right now, so he has a younger son. And he said, Pav, there's something very special when you have a boy, and boys are maybe wired in a different way. They just look at what the dad is doing, and they consciously try to emulate that. And even yesterday, I was having a conversation with my cousin, and we started speaking about that, and he said, what? I've seen my father do certain things which I said, I'm not gonna be like that. But every now and then, whether maybe a woman challenged him or he was in a difficult situation, guess what? He acts the same exact way like his father. He's like, fuck, like I'm doing the same thing like my dad. And I'm like, shit, I can relate as well. Oftentimes when we are faced in a difficult situation, we don't know what to act, so we revert back to what we know, which is what we've seen or projected from our dad. So it's really important to really pick on these philosophies. And even number 4 was the deeper life convictions, right? You really, one thing is to actually pay attention to what your father is saying, but also a second thing is to actually see what your father is doing. The deeds and the actions are counting a lot more than what you say. And at the end of the day, we all need love. We all need our father's blessing, our father's affection. So this is something that, like I said, if you didn't have the chance to do that and you do still have a father around, by all means do that. Like I said, from personal experience, probably one of the most rewarding things that you can do. And this is both good, not just for the relationship between you have with your dad and yourself, but also with yourself, with other women. It has crazy kind of secondary benefits, if you will. So that's kind of my list that I could think about of essentials to improve this father-son relationship. Let me know what I've missed, maybe something that you've experienced that you'd like to share. Please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video. Done.